The 2024 election is shaping up to be one of the closest, most unpredictable races in American history. Both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are making surprising gains and losses across key voter demographics. But there's one core group that has defined Trump's political career from the start: non-college educated white voters. This group was once solidly in his corner, but now something surprising is happening. In today's episode, we're diving deep into the shifting trends, critical battleground states, and what could tip the scales in this razor-thin election. Stick around to the end, because what we uncover might just change everything you thought you knew about the 2024 race. Welcome to today's show, where we break down the numbers and trends that could decide the 2024 election. I'm your name, your guide through the maze of polling data, key battleground states, and voter behavior as we head toward Election Day. Today, we're focusing on a pivotal voting bloc that has historically been the backbone of Donald Trump's support: non-college educated white voters. But guess what? Despite gains in other demographics, Trump is actually losing ground with this core group. Let's dive into what that means for both Trump and Kamala Harris as we examine the numbers, analyze key battleground states, and explore why even small shifts in voter behavior could lead to huge consequences this November. From the very beginning, non-college educated white voters have been one of Donald Trump's most reliable demographics. They powered his 2016 victory and held strong through 2020. But now something interesting is happening. Despite making gains in groups like Black and Hispanic voters, Trump's support among non-college whites is actually shrinking. Let's look at the numbers. Back in 2016, Trump won this group by a 33-point margin. In 2020, it shrank slightly to 31 points. And now in the latest polls, he's ahead by only 27 points. That might not seem like a big drop, but when you're talking about such a large portion of the electorate, even a few percentage points can make a massive difference. So why does this shift matter? Let's break it down. Non-college educated white voters make up a whopping 40% of the electorate. That's more than any other single group, including college-educated white voters and all voters of color combined. In fact, this group's importance becomes even more critical when you zoom in on key battleground states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. In these Great Lakes battleground states, non-college whites make up 51% of the voters. So any decline in Trump's support among them could have major consequences for his path to victory. If his lead shrinks just a little, the impact could ripple through these swing states and dramatically alter the outcome. Now let's talk specifics. In 2016, Trump dominated non-college white voters in battleground states, winning them by 25 points. That advantage shrank to 22 points in 2020. And now, as we head into the final stretch of 2024, the margin is getting even smaller. This erosion of support in such a key demographic raises a big question. Can Trump still win these critical states if his core group is moving away from him? Or will Harris be able to capitalize on these shifts? We'll explore the answer to that next, but first, let's take a look at how Trump's gains among other groups, like Black and Hispanic voters, factor into this equation. Here's the twist. While Trump is losing ground with non-college educated whites, he's making significant gains with other groups, especially among Black and Hispanic voters. In some polls, he's seeing double-digit increases in support from these demographics. But there's a catch. Black and Hispanic voters make up a much smaller percentage of the electorate compared to non-college whites. So while these gains are noteworthy, they don't fully compensate for the losses in his larger base of support. This tug-of-war between expanding his appeal in minority communities and losing ground in his core group creates a fascinating dynamic, and it's setting the stage for what could be a nail-biting finish in November. Now, you might be wondering, how do these small shifts add up in the grand scheme of things? Well, when you look at the broader picture, even minor changes in voter behavior can have huge consequences in swing states. Take Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, for example. If Trump's support among non-college whites continues to decline, those states could flip to Harris, especially if she manages to energize voters in urban areas and among college-educated whites. These trends are why analysts are predicting a close election, with small movements in key demographics potentially deciding the outcome. Kamala Harris isn't sitting back and waiting for things to happen. Her campaign is strategically targeting these critical voting blocs, knowing full well that enthusiasm and turnout will be key to winning the election. Harris has been actively reaching out to women voters, and she's seeing a significant advantage in that group, with some polls showing her leading by 10 points among female voters. Women, particularly suburban women, could be the deciding factor in this election. After the overturning of Roe v. Wade, issues like reproductive rights have energized this demographic in ways that polling might not fully capture. Early voting numbers are already showing promising signs for Harris. In states like Michigan, early turnout is up, and traditionally high early voting numbers favor Democrats. This is one of the gaps Harris is looking to exploit: the enthusiasm gap. Right now, Harris has an advantage when it comes to voter enthusiasm. More of her supporters are fired up and ready to vote, while Trump's base, though still strong, may not be as energized as they were in 2016. So where does this all leave us? The 2024 election is far from over, and both Trump and Harris are playing their final cards. Trump may still have a path to victory, but the shifting demographics and declining margins in key groups mean that this race could be much closer than anyone anticipated. As we count down the days to November, all eyes will be on the Great Lakes battleground states and the final push from both campaigns. It's a battle for the soul of America, and every vote counts. That's it for today's deep dive into the 2024 election landscape. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. We'll continue to track the latest polling data, voter trends, and campaign strategies as we get closer to Election Day. What do you think? Will Trump's shrinking margins in his core base be enough to tip the scales in Harris's favor? Or does Trump have enough momentum with new voter groups to pull off another win? Let us know in the comments below and stay tuned for more.